A few common mistakes that people make when they're forming UK and offshore companies are that they don't think about the corporate structure. They don't think about the style of the company that they want to create. So they might form a PLC company when they want a limited company. They might form an IBC, International Business Company, instead of an LLC, a limited liability corporation. These things are important because they formulate the company for the future and they change the tax position quite often. It's really important to think about the ownership structure. Who's going to be the shareholders? Do you want to be the shareholders, or do you want to use nominee shareholders or trusts to hold shares or foundations to hold shares? And it's really important that these things are thought about in advance and that you talk to somebody who really understands the nuances between the different elements of a structure. Otherwise, you can get it wrong at the beginning. It's very difficult to change it later, and it can have unknown tax implications moving forward, which can cause you problems. One of the biggest mistakes that people make is they don't consider the offshore jurisdiction that they're going to incorporate in with the banking solution that they're going to put in place. So quite often people will come to us and they'll form a company in, let's say, the Marshall Islands or Nevis, somewhere which is quite a contentious jurisdiction. Looks good on paper, looks very private, but then when you take that jurisdiction to a bank and try and open an account for it, banks run a mile. They're not interested in dealing with really shady jurisdictions. They want something that's properly formulated in a good, relatively transparent jurisdiction. And then what you need to do is create a structure around it to protect your identity, to protect your involvement in the company structure. Another error that people tend to make when we start talking about banking is that they have a belief that banks want huge deposits. You know, I've got £10 million to deposit in a bank account. They must want to take my business, but it's just not the case. Banks want normal activity, sensible, simple activity, not too complicated. And as soon as you start giving them crazy figures or crazy activity, they just don't want to deal with it. So those are the few points that you need to think about when you're forming an offshore company.